Hey guys, how y'all doing? Everybody have a happy new year? Hey guys, there's Alfred, a Grand Fire expert, Helmut Schmacker, evening all, happy thoughts, Satsuna Klachan, Purish, Liam, happy thoughts everybody, welcome. I had some time, it's a New Year's Day, I thought, well, why not jump on and be with some of the people I love the most, our friends out in Planet David. So type in where you're checking in from. Did you do anything interesting on the new year? And let's get this party started. What do you think? Especially with all the NLP power purchases I made, spiritual cheat, awesome. Well, thank you for your support, and I hope they deliver the value that we promised. Actually, I hope they over deliver because we usually under promise. There's Stephen King. Happy New Year, Stephen. Alana, we love you back, Alana. Oh my God, your hand. My hand? Oh, that's the virtual background. It has trouble with depth perception. Purish is from Ohio. Alano's coming in from Long Island, New York. Yeah, just so you know, there may be a little bit, it may seem a little wonky for those of you who are just checking in because I'm actually checking in through the Zoom interface because it gives me a virtual background so you don't see my dirty walls and all that stuff. But there is about a 45 to somewhere, usually between 45 and 90-second lag time between when I actually say something on the video and it shows up on your interface. The chats though are in real time. So by all means, I will be answering that way. So, and I'm only doing this through YouTube right now. So there's no Zoomers on or there's no Facebook or anything like that. So let's see. While I have you, let me just move some stuff around so I can maybe sit a little bit. I bounce around a lot when I teach. So what do you guys want to know about? Let's see here. We got Helmut's coming in from London. Satsuna's from Germany. Liam is checking in from North Carolina. My New Year just got a million times better. Well, thank you, Liam. Rob Wells, 424, Nashville, Happy New Year. Grand Fire expert really had a question which has been bugging me for some time. How did you actually find what you know? Was it through books, science? What was it? When you first started, where did you go? I went everywhere. To be honest, when everything for me started with books. And I know kind of, hardly anybody reads anymore, right? But when I was growing up, and I started early, I got on this personal development kick when I was like 12 or 13. Of course, I was into some really esoteric topics that at the time I had no idea were even remotely related. But everything with me started with books. Then it went to audio cassettes, huge amount of audio cassettes. And then finally, when I could afford it, I started going to seminars, and as I started investing more and more in myself and getting more and more resources, being able to kind of spread the net out there, I started seeing overlap between all these, I have all these different things, right? You have all these different branches, you may have the metaphysics, you have hypnosis, you have NLP, you have dating and attraction, you have, all the occult studies that I've done and all the religious studies that I've done. And they all seem at one level energetics, they all seem very, distinct from each other. But as you get deeper into them, they start to do this. And before you know it, you've got what you thought were all different things. You find out when you get deeper into them that they're all one thing. It's kind of like that old story about the three blind men and the elephant. One is feeling the trunk and say, oh, I know what an elephant is. It's long and it's cylindrical and it's big and it has two holes in the end. Another blind man's feeling the ear and he's going, oh no, that's not an elephant. An elephant has thin, rubbery folds and things of that nature. The other one's feeling the tail or the foot, and they're describing that. And they're all describing pieces of the elephant, but in truth, it's the same elephant, right? And you're going to find as you get deeper and deeper into the things that we teach, regardless of where you're coming from at it, it doesn't really matter. And I realize I'm going off on a tangent, but I think it's an important tangent. Whether you're coming into the things that we teach from a dating context, in other words, you want to learn how to meet and attract members of the opposite sex better. You want to have better relationships. You want to, again, regardless of your motivation or what you want to do with it. Or if you're coming in from the personal development side where you want to be more successful, you want to remove blocks to your success, learn how to tap into your potentials, get in touch with your higher power. Whether you want to get rid of traumas or overcome fears and phobias, whether you want to get better at self-defense, psychically or physically, right? It doesn't matter ultimately how you get here. As you go deeper and deeper into the materials, as you get the needs you came to get satisfied, it's going to open you up for greater and greater things. And that's where these things start to overlap. And that's one of the reasons that our technologies tend to be a little bit more powerful than what's out there a lot of times, is because you get a synergistic effect where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. These things are designed to fit together in very powerful ways. And so I know it's a little bit off tangent from where you started, but everything starts with a book. And even before that, it starts with a question, which usually begins with a problem, right? What is it I want to fix? Or what is it I want to achieve, right? You either have a problem-oriented question or you have a achievement-oriented question. And they're not mutually exclusive. They're two sides of a coin. But it starts with a question, then it usually ends up with a book. Now, back in the day when I started, like many of you out there, there was no internet. There was no cell phone, believe it or not. It was all books. You had to go to the bookstore. You had to drive to the bookstore, right? But I started off very, very early, scrimping and saving and going to the back of all the magazines I would read and finding courses here and there. And when I could scrape together enough money to get them, I grabbed them. I just did it. And so to me, that was kind of where everything started. So I hope I didn't go off too much on a tangent, but I hope that answered the question. Jeffrey Lyle Siegel says, chilling literally in Chicago. How you doing in Chicago, Jeff? Frank Thorne says, hello, NEU. ULM. I don't know what that means. King Sakura, we love you too, Snyder. I'm from Mali. Awesome. By the way, okay. But I don't think you remember me. Actually, I do remember your name, Melor Anime. I do remember that. Heckler99 from Sandy, Utah. Do you need to wax your mustache into points? I don't think I need to. I think somebody might want me to. I think the little snidely whiplash kind of a thing, right? MZ says, I use NLP technique you show us to pick up some chick on New Year's Eve. Well, congratulations. Stephen King says, I live a nursing home, so nothing did. I'm 38 too. I have MS and bad lower back problems. Oh, well, okay. Helmut Schmacker, where's the tan? No tan, brother. I'm a vampire in training. Actually, you may notice one of the reasons is I'm using a different lighting. So I'll show you. I'll show you real quick. I usually use a warmer lighting. I decided to try the cooler lighting. I'll switch it, and you can tell me which one you like better. Do you like this lighting better? Okay. I'm not sure if I look better or if I look. Am I warmer now? Anyway, I'm just going down the chat list, but it's not exactly in real time. Unless if I answer in the chat, it'll be in real time. But if I answer via video, not so much. Let's see here. Tim Nichols says hi from the UK. Paul Didi says Ireland. Erin Gobra and all that. Spiritual Chi, Netherlands. Happy Thoughts. Wow. Liam Fowler says, I want to learn more of the energy side of influence since you asked. Okay. Give me a more specific question and I'll be happy to tell you what I can. Elmwood Park Hulk says, Happy New Year. I think you may have the Guinness World Record in certifications. Not quite, but I have a few. I got to be honest. One of my by proxy mentors, one of the guys whose material I studied really from a really early age was a guy named Dr. John LaTourette. And if you ever look at Dr. LaTourette's list of his curriculum vitae, if I've modeled anyone in my life in terms of the certifications and things of that nature, it's probably Dr. John. I'm not a carbon copy of him, of course, but he was someone who greatly influenced my approach to things. But I've been of the belief that the certifications are cool, but some certifications are more valuable than others. But nothing is wasted in terms of, we talk in the systems that I practice and that I draw from. We talk a lot about a concept known as the golden path. The golden path is kind of like your mission in this life. If you believe in something higher than this, right? If you believe you're a spiritual being and you came here to fulfill a purpose, we all have a mission that we came to fulfill. And so we acquire these informations and we tap into these trainings that allow us to tap into our innate abilities, our innate talents and attributes that we bring from lifetime to lifetime. And they all come together for us to utilize synergistically to fulfill our mission in this life, whatever that is, whatever scale that is. So nothing is wasted, even the most, minuscule certification or skill set, no matter how esoteric or occult it might. And when I say occult, I don't necessarily mean in terms of like woo-woo occult. I mean more in terms of just a skill set that's just so off the beaten path that nobody's ever heard of it. These things have a tendency to all come together when you're on your golden path. That yields a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. And that's really all, if we could sum up a lot of the things that we do in Planet David is we bring these things together, and what comes out of it is a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. And it works faster and it works better. So, so Elmwood Park Hulk says, Happy New Year. Let's see here. Oops. Happy Thought says, no vest today. Well, no, I just, I thought about wearing a vest today, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go into teddy bear mode and see what people think. I certainly feel weird without my vest. But I just, you know what? It's New Year's Day, and maybe we need to be a little bit more casual. But if you guys want, I'll go put a vest on. I'm okay with that. Let's see here. Joshua says, love the new beard. Thank you. Thank you. I'm debating whether to go back to clean shaven or keep it for the new year. What do you guys think? Get Smart Quick says, I'm feeling touch starved. How to combat it? P.S. Nice sweater and Happy New Year. Thank you. Touch starved. You know what? If you can afford it, go get a massage. And not the happy ending kind of massages, but go get a massage. One of the things that believe it or not, in my world, I don't get as much physical contact with people as my system needs. And this is, again, one of the problems that, especially with COVID now, that one of the reasons people are so fucking neurotic is because they are not getting the level of healthy physical contact between human beings that we need. We need a certain amount of physical touch, healthy physical touch, every day to be healthy and to be stressed and to reduce our stress levels. So get it any way you can. That's ethical and legal and stuff like that, but get it. Especially now, because as ironic as it seems, the more physical touch you get, the more oxytocin you release, the more eustress you develop. Eustress is positive stress, which builds the immune system. And so these are things that will go a long way towards keeping us more relaxed. They'll keep us more balanced and centered. It's not something people talk about. They're always rushing out, try this herb or do this meditation. And those are important things. But the body needs what the body needs. And we are social creatures. We are hardwired and biochemically oriented to need a certain amount of physical connection with people. And so these skills that we teach in NLP Power and Planet David are extremely important. But at the same time, sometimes we gotta go get touched in a positive way. So, take that for what it's worth. Not to be construed as medical advice, but it is something that I think human beings need. So that you kind of want me set me off on a tangent there. So Happy Thought says, we like your tangents. MZ asks, are we as all human beings remotely related? Yes. 100%. Alana Wolf, we want to know Trump or Biden. We know with your super. Alana, what do you mean Trump or Biden? I think the writing's on the wall with this one, guys. So whether Again, I got to tell you up front, whether, when people ask me about Trump, people ask me about these guys all the time. And I have to preface everything I say with the fact that I am actually not a political creature. I could honestly, with very few exceptions, care less who's running the country. Primarily because I'm a believer in the power of the individual, in the power of one person to be, what's the word I'm looking for? To be self-directed. And so it doesn't matter to me in the long term whether there's a Republican running the country, whether there's a Libertarian running the country, a Democrat running the country. I'm going to change and I'm going to adapt to maximize my opportunities for my family, for me, for my business, for my people, which I include you in that, whether you agree, accept it or not. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to adapt. It doesn't matter to me beyond a certain parameter. Now, I will say this, just to go, again, get on my soapbox again for the new year. I'm a rugged individualist, as Teddy Roosevelt would say, and by that I mean that I believe every individual has a right to choose what groups or what ideology they want to embrace, with the understanding that all belief systems and all ideologies are bullshit. And what I mean by that is they're all things that another human being made up. At the end of the day, even my belief system is bullshit because it's something I made up. The question becomes at the end of the day, does your belief system work for you? Does it help you to achieve the results in your life that you're looking to achieve? If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, change it to something that works and gets you the life you want, that adds value to your life. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I believe that everybody has a right to promote themselves and their belief systems. However, I also do not support any group or individual, for that matter, that seeks to raise themselves up at the expense of another group, saying, I'm great, or this group is awesome is one thing. Saying I'm great and they suck, or I'm great because they suck, is not. Okay, that's creating what is commonly referred to as an us versus them dynamic. And influentially speaking, that is a big tactic that every single political operation, every single social justice organization uses. If you don't believe me, read the book. There's a book by Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. And I think if more people read that book, because it's the playbook of all social and political organizations who are seeking to overthrow the status quo. It's just a playbook that they all operate from. And if you understood it, if more people understood these tactics, there would be a lot less brainwashable by these groups. So that being said, Trump, and I don't care, right? There are certain things that I think that I would definitely fall on the liberal side, and there are certain things that I would fall absolutely on the conservative side, and there's some that neither the twain shall meet. But by and large, Trump versus Biden, don't care. But if you can ask me a better question, maybe I can give you a better answer. Let's see here. MZ's asking, did you meet your wife? Oh wait, King Sukor says, what you just did with your hand is a purification mudra, right? Describe the mudra and I will, oh, you mean this? This is actually a stress relief mudra. This one's for herpes. And there's another variation that's for thyroid problems. For those of you who are interested in that, I'll type it in the chat. There's a book an art called Mudra Yoga. I'll say Yoga Mudra Begin, that you might find useful. It has a lot of really cool mudras in it. And I teach a lot of mudra work in my advanced vibrational influence classes. So let's see here. MZ. Did you meet your wife through your classes back in the days? Have you used NLP techniques on her? D, all of the above. I met my wife in grad school, believe it or not. She was actually, I Did I ever tell you guys this story, how I met my wife? I actually met my wife over a dead body, believe it or not. If people want to know about that, I'll tell the story. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the short answer, MZ, is yes. I met my wife through my class, not through the classes that I teach. We met at grad school, but I was actually teaching a class on pressure point work at an acupuncture school, because that's a lot of the martial arts I do, is manipulating nerve points, energy points in the body. That's a lot of what I do. And she came to the training, and she had been lucky enough to study advanced martial arts in Sichuan, China. And when she saw what I was doing, she'd never seen anybody else teaching that but her master in China. And so she signed up for our martial arts class on campus, and she just never left. Right. Let's see here. Nothing beats reading a good book on the toilet. Yeah, I'd kind of go with that. The Grand Fire Expert, where did you get the ideas for 3MQ and analog matching? I took your rapid attraction course, and I want to know where those techniques came from. The idea for 3MQ, the foundations of 3 Magic Questions, came from a book called Love Trances by Craig Ravinsky. The idea of analog matching is actually something I observed from watching thousands and thousands of conversations and looking at the structure of conversation. Because of my training in NLP, I was able to recognize a pattern of interaction that was in alignment with rapport and in alignment with echo technique and things of that nature. So that's kind of where it comes from. Let's see here. Happy thoughts. That was an awesome question. Mike Heckler99 says, Mike Mindell speaks very highly of you in his podcast about it. I love Mike. Mike is awesome. When we all get together once a year out in Las Vegas at Hypnothoughts Live Hypnosis Convention. And I hang out with him and Chris, and we just bust on it. It's really cool, actually. I really, really like Mike Mindell. I have tremendous respect for him. And I'm actually kind of sorry that he's retired from actively, going out and teaching. He's doing mostly online stuff now, which I think is great. I mean, he's getting up there in years. Yeah, tremendous respect. Yeah. In fact, I was supposed to go in Canada in September. I was actually supposed to go, was it September, October? I was actually supposed to go up to Toronto and teach a class for Mike's people. And then all the COVID restrictions hit, and we had to reschedule. In fact, but we are committed. We're going to try and get there up in 2021. We're going to try and get there to Toronto and do that class that we promised. So let's see here. Happy Thought says no vest today. No vest today. I'd like to go into teddy bear mode. This is one of my very fluffy, very touchy teddy bear type fleeces that I think my wife got this one for me. She likes the ones with the little hand things on there. So got to be careful whenever I'm eating with my hands. I don't get shit on my hands. Eddie Gilbert, you've helped me so much with myself and my sales technique. Thank you. Eddie, you're welcome. I'm glad it works for you. I'm glad you're getting some benefits from what we do. Alana Wolf says, you are beautiful. Guys, you're the beautiful ones, right? If it wasn't for you, I'd be talking to an empty camera. But Gene Dinek says lighting is better now. So you like the warmer lighting then, apparently. Jeff Lyle Siegel, I'd love you to talk about hypnotic hugs. How can we help people make up for lack of touch isolation and social distancing as created? Actually, there's a really good technique called drug of choice. It was an NLP-based technique whereby if you understand the process, you can reactivate sensations of any altered state you've ever enjoyed. So I would Google drug of choice, and instead of using drugs as your source, I would use the best hug you've ever had. And the feelings that you had for that. And that will help you to stimulate and generate the oxytocin and other neuropeptides and chemicals that are generated from prolonged physical contact. That and going into a hypnotic state releases massive amounts of endorphins anyway. But you can combine those two very, very powerfully. Joe Smurf says Somerset, Kentucky. Awesome. Voodoo Fox. May all of your most magical moments multiply. Happy years. Oh, Voodoo, thank you. Thank you, sweetie. Same to you. Same to you. Edward Flores says, do sessions in Solana Beach. Not as much anymore with the social distancing and stuff going on. We kind of suspended our in-person sessions just for safety reasons. When these COVID restrictions kind of die down, we'll probably start doing them again. Right now, we're doing everything virtually. Baram Haas says, Happy New Year, sir. Well, Happy New Year to you too. Voodoo says from Voodoo Fox from Santa Monica. Welcome, welcome. Oh, the chat room just kind of jumped way ahead. Hold on a second. I got to scroll back up. Let's see here. Grandfire Express. I also have a hunch that you got your 36 intimacy question. No, did not get it from Kenrick at all. I got a lot of things from Kenrick. That was not one of them. Not one of them. In fact, I've never seen Kenrick ever teach the 36 intimacy questions. What he did teach once upon a time was something called the 36 stratagems, which is actually a derivative of Chinese warfare tactics and strategy tactics. But I've never seen anything that Kenrick put out on the 36 intimacy question. I didn't even know he talked about it. Let's see here. Tangents lead to super good stuff. Cool. Love the no vest and better with no beards. Okay, so we've got Rolfing. Rolfing will do it. I use Thai massage a lot, but if you're not up to the really rough stuff, Swedish will work. Swedish will work. Let's see here. Oh wait, everybody's saying keep it, keep it, keep it. Oh my gosh. Every now and then my chat jumps up. Heckler99 says, by the way, conversational hypnosis send my Uber tips through the roof. It has a devastating effect on drunks in particular. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Grandfire Expert. I also seem to get to stage 2 of the MQ, and I always seem to forget to go on to stage 3. Also, what was your foundational book when it came to dating and attraction? Speed seduction doesn't work so well. Well, the problem with speed seduction is that there's an over-reliance on scripts and not a deeper understanding of what you're actually doing. And most people don't have the performance skills. In other words, they can read the patterns and they can deliver, and they kind of know what to do, but their ability to congruently do it is not the highest. And the other part and this goes actually for most forms of attraction and seduction systems, is that there's not enough emphasis on calibration. And calibration is a real long word that basically means the ability to read facial expressions, nonverbal cues, voice inflection, tonality, things of that nature. Because, and I wrote this in my first book, Secret Orgasm Tips, back in 2005, the single most important factor in getting any form of attraction system to work is the ability to recognize if what you're doing is actually having the effect or not. It's calibration. Because if you can't calibrate, if you're generating more attraction or moving away from attraction, you're just reciting and regurgitating these set pieces or whatever, and you're not moving towards your goal of creating connection and intimacy. So there's two things that I think people need, and I don't care what system you're using, whether you're using some of the older speed seduction based systems, or you're using some of the newer behavioral stuff, or the more internet based stuff. I don't care. You have to have the ability to deliver these things congruently and to calibrate if you're moving towards attraction and connection or away from it. And that's the one skill I see people not embracing, which is why I spend so much time on it, right? Think of it this way, and I'll get off the attraction question in a minute. If you could look at somebody and know with a high percentage of reliability, like 80, 90%, that they're already attracted to you, that they already think you're interesting, how nervous would you be about actually approaching that person and actually talking to them? Right? And think about it. If you already knew they were attracted to you, 80% of your hesitancy goes out the window, because you know you're not going to get rejected unless you do something really stupid or that is just against them. But most people don't have those skill sets. They can't recognize attraction. They can't recognize interest. And so they see someone they think is interesting and they roll the dice, right? And they go in with these doubts and these intimidations and all these movies playing in their head. Whereas if they just had the ability to look at someone and know with a high degree of reliability, is this person open to being approached? Is this person actually interested in me, or at least curious about me? how much of your anxiety would go out the window? And this is a big problem. Again, from a 50,000 foot view, we can always drill down on sticking points, but at the end of the day, most of what you're going to deal with, most of the problems you're going to run into stems from an inability to calibrate the person, to read them. And so we spend a lot of time on reading people in our world. Let's see here. Janet S., hello from Australia. Happy New Year. Linda Kindle says, what do you think about Reiko? Are you talking about Reiki, Linda? Let's see here. What is your opinion on semen retention? I think it's extremely powerful. I've been practicing that. I've been practicing semen retention pretty much since I was a teenager. And it's probably been one of the single biggest energy builders that I had. I mean, honestly, most people don't know I'm going to be 55 next year. You see it in my beard now. But if I were actually clean shaven, most people would think I'm in my mid to late 30s or 40s. And I believe I had good genes to begin with, right? But I think a lot of it does have to do with the ability to recirculate and not waste your jing, as we talk about in the Taoist systems, the Chinese martial arts, things of that nature. So I think semen retention can be important if you know what to do with it, right? So I hope that answers your question. Liam Fallon, I'll go more narrow instead of general. Are the principles behind state control the same as across the room influence? I'm not sure how to phrase it. Everything starts with state control. Everything starts with state control. If you don't know how to control your state, then the ability to get rapport becomes random and by definition, uncontrollable at best. And here's what I mean by that. If you've ever gotten, when we look at rapport is a two-way connection, okay? And there's two aspects to energetics that you have to understand if you want to take the concepts of rapport that NLP embraces or Selling or Ericksonian hypnosis embrace. There's two aspects to energy. There's amplitude, which we call a quantity scale. And then there's attribute or a quality scale. So quantity and quality are the two big factors when we start talking about energy. When you're setting up a rapport connection with somebody, you are tuning into that person. You are taking on the vibrational frequencies of the human being. And that's a two-way connection. The problem, of course, is there's also a quantity difference that we have to understand. And it's very easy to understand. When you have a cup of water in one hand and a cup and an empty cup in another, and you put the energy and you pour both, you pour both into a third container, does the water stay on the side with the cup that was full, or does it spread out? Right? Energy, like water, tends, unless it's programmed, and it still takes a lot of will to program it, energy left to its own devices will flow from a higher concentration to a lesser concentration. Okay? And if you create that rapport connection, you've basically created a straw where the energy can, like you have an empty cup here and a full cup here, you run that straw here, the energy is going to go like this. And so what happens is if your energy level is higher, then you will send more energy along that rapport connection, and that person will start to take on your attributes. Okay? But the inverse is also true. If this person has a greater quantity of energy, even if it's of a lesser vibration, and you set up that rapport channel, that energy will backflow to you, and you will start to get sucked down to that person's energy level. Okay? You will take on more of their attribute than they will take on of yours. And the balance will be somewhere in the middle. And so one of the things that has to happen is you have to make sure that not only do you have the ability to match somebody's frequency, which is what most classical rapport techniques are doing. That's really what they're doing. But if you've ever gotten rapport with somebody who's on their period, having a blood sugar issue, having a really bad day, or under a cold, do you suddenly feel better when you get rapport with them? Or do you suddenly start to have your energy getting sucked away? And the reason for that is because you've got this vacuum system that's been created, and it sucks your energy out to raise this person up to find a level. So yes, you'll be in rapport, but you won't necessarily be in control. And that's why you have to have state control first. Because if you understand how to do state control, you can intentionally amplify not only the vibration, but the quantity of energy that you're generating. So you can modulate and manage that rapport connection. If you don't have state control, you are at the mercy of whatever rapport that you get. And so we spend a huge amount of time, just like the whole body reading or people reading aspect, we spend a huge amount of time on the ability to control state, because that's the part of you that just keeps getting more powerful, right? And if you don't have it, you're at the mercy of whatever connections you make. So I hope that helps. Happy Thought says teddy bear mood looks good. Okay. Jeffrey says Reiki is right up there with Mesmer's Baquette. It's suggestive therapeutics masquerading under a false premise. Okay. Limitless says, you look awesome. Thank you. Reaper Eye says, hey, David, love your content. I've been watching your stuff for the past couple of weeks and I've fallen under your amazing spell. I want to ask you if you have any content regarding bad habits. Yes, tons of it. We treat bad habits the same way we treat any form of reprogramming the subconscious mind. So any of the identity by design techniques, and color breathing techniques will go a long way towards helping you to neutralize or depotentiate a bad habit. But then you have to cognitively create an alternate habit. You have to substitute a behavior, not just a state. But we find that getting rid of the original reason why we developed a bad habit in the first place goes a long way to helping us reprogram a better one. So let's see. Leonidas says, looking good, man. Ron Purdy says, clean shaven. Stephen King says, keep it. Limitless says, keep it. Alana says, keep it. Josh Goodlow, wow, is that your library? Yes, actually it is. It's a screenshot of my library, which is actually downstairs. And once we get the renovations done downstairs, I'll be doing more of my events in front of my actual bookcase, and I'll have a lot more room to move around. So keep the beard. Leonida says once a week. Mark goes half and half. Jeanette says, keep it for the new year. Shannon Middleton says, yes, Rolfing. Gene Denick says, love the, okay, we talked about Gene already. Love the no vest and better with no beard. Lowell says, no vest. I love it. Knew it was something different. Get Smart Quick says, thanks for answering my question. Helmet Smacker says, keep the beard. It makes you look a little like Satan. Oh, thank you. Allegra says, hello, I love hugs. Queen of Queens, New York says, your hair is your antenna. See what else happens. She's not wrong, actually. Monkey See, Monkey Do, Happy New Year 21. Elena says Biden or Trump. Again, don't know what that means. VB, how do we reduce anxiety during the new year? Lots of trance work, thinking about things you love, thinking about people you love. Physical connection is as good as, with people who are safe to have more physical contact with. These will all go a long way towards helping you to balance the anxiety. Let's see. Josh says, we are all related and connected. Look up a Demaxian map and so you know what that means. I don't know what a Demaxian map is. Me too. Can't give our power away. Okay. So the Grand Fire expert says, the thing with speed seduction is that when I whoop out the patterns, it gets really weird, like some old poet. Do you have any way to take out the weirdness out of it? And how do you elicit the process? First of all, I don't use speed seduction the way it's, I don't actually use speed seduction the way it's taught. It's not a good system to start with. You're actually better off starting with something more like a double your dating approach or a mystery method approach, and then picking up the language patterns and injecting the language patterns after you've created intimacy, trust, and connection, or after you've created comfort and fun and playfulness. So I don't actually advocate speed seduction at all as an approach tool. It actually makes more people come across as creepy rather than attractive. So it was good for its time, but there's better technologies out there now. So in terms, I believe anyway. So let's see here. Joshua says self-directed, true. Yes. Braham, I had one question regarding the DTI protocol. When you choose the person with whom you want a DTI, can you upload their physical abilities to yourself as well? For instance, become faster and more powerful. You can create a mirror neuron template in your system that if you actually do the activities and you remain immersed in the activities that this person represents, you can start to acquire and develop those physical and psychological attributes. But again, DTI is powerful, but it does take setting it up properly and doing it consistently. And one of the things I'm going to recommend is that when you start applying DTI, you only reference materials by the people who are expressing a high level of skill. Let me explain what that means. Back in the early 90s, I developed this ability. I didn't know. I knew what I was doing on some degree, but I didn't know all about what I was doing. I earned this is back when I was running my martial arts schools. I earned the nickname from my students called the video Sensei. How apropos, right? But one of the reasons is I could take a martial arts video, and I organically developed this process of being able to immerse myself in the content of the video. And within a very short time, usually a week or sometimes less, but usually around a week, I could actually demonstrate and exhibit the same level of skill as the person in the video. And then I would go into my karate school and I would actually teach it. And my DTI was often so deep that I would actually often mimic the speech patterns of the people teaching that I was learning the technique from. And one of the reasons that works is because you have to immerse yourself and become so absorbed in the video content of what you're watching that when they move, you feel it. It actually creates a powerful, think about if you've ever watched a video of someone going over a roller coaster. Back when you guys remember when we had movie theaters, you could actually go and sit and watch like these little trailers and stuff ahead of time. And some of the old movie theaters, they would have this thing where you would have this little film roller coaster and you'd be moving all around. And every time the screen would go, you would feel like the lurch in your gut as if you were actually going over the roller coaster itself. That's a mirror neuron phenomenon. And so one of the secrets to doing really, really powerful video learning is you have to look at the video like it's a movie, not like an instructional video, like that you're going to watch and learn something from, but more like a movie that you're going to watch for purely entertainment purposes. And you must do it over and over and over again with absolute absorption, to the point where when the person whose physical skills you're seeking to emulate in the video moves, you can feel your body suddenly moving. A lot of us do this when we're watching like boxing matches or MMA events where we're just so into it and the guy throws a punch and you feel you kind of find yourself unconsciously moving. That's an indication of mirror neuron engagement. So here's one of the things that you got to do when you're doing, and mirror neuron engagement is a big piece of DTI. So again, for most people, doing basic DTI will create a template in you that will only be followed if you do the physical practices that the person demonstrating that you've templatized are doing. Okay, you can create the potential, and to some degree, you can create a very powerful skill set. But if you don't engage in the activities of the person, it's moot. It's not going to manifest. It's not going to grow. The other piece is when you and going back to what I was talking about before, like a lot of us, we watch if you're a martial artist, I'll use the martial arts example. A lot of us buy videos from these high-level instructors who have really powerful skill sets. And then we go to our martial arts class, which is usually somebody who's not quite at the same high level as the person in the video. One of the things that happens is if you start having too many templates that are not at the same skill level, you dilute the skill sets. So like a lot of people like to watch videos of themselves to improve. I recommend you don't do that. I know it's weird. And in certain contexts, it's fine. But if you're coming at things from a mirror neuron perspective, you get a garbage in, garbage out kind of a process. If you're doing deep level DTI, you must only reference high level people. Keep your heroes right in front of you all the time, They become the benchmark. They become the litmus test, not your teacher at your class, not your peers, but the people you actually idolize, whose skill sets that you want to embrace. Those need to be the standards that you're measuring up to. So I hope the people who need to hear this. These are the things that I've found through trial and through the scientific validation in certain areas that are going to lead to an increased level of success and a faster degree or level of skill development. So I hope that helps. JKK Jazz says, "Is this live?" Yes, it's very live. MZ, is hypnosis in Americans got talent for real because they forget everything just happened? Yeah. A lot of times when people are natural somnambulists, they can have spontaneous amnesia for things. Hold on a second. I just got a message from the wife. Oh, looks like I'm going to be able to spend a little bit more time with you because my wife has some emergency patients that she's going to need to handle. So I have more time to spend with you. So I hope you don't mind that. Laura Thompson says, "Amen." Josh Gilbert says, "What's the name of the book again?" Love Trances by Craig Ravinsky. Any tips of those of us trying to fight depression during these lockdowns? I think I just answered that. Ace of Fate says, "Dr. Snyder, I feel clueless going into the new year. How might I reorient myself so I can decide what I can do to adapt and take a different risk to make money and survive?" Ace of Fates, the most powerful thing you can do is ask yourself different questions. Okay. So start by reframing the problem. What do I want, first of all? And then what are my opportunities for getting it? What resources do I have? Take an inventory of yourself. What are the skill sets that you have? What are the things you want to accomplish? What skill sets are necessary? What action steps are necessary to achieve those things? And then just keep changing what you do and how you do it until you find the formula that works. It sounds a little trite. It sounds a little overly simplistic, but honestly, it's the ability to look for opportunities where most people only see limitations or setbacks. That is the biggest, and the relentless determination to look for those. And a lot of it comes down to seeing the world through the eyes of an opportunist, as well as asking yourself better questions. And here's the big one. This is the one that screws most people up. Don't try to get back to the good old days. Okay. A lot of people say, we talk about with the whole last 2020, the year of COVID, the new normal, and everybody wants to go back to the old normal. There will never be an old normal. You can't go back. Okay. And many of us remember something called 9/11, where the world changed and we were all ready. And, we were just waiting to get back to normal. Things never went back to normal, guys. When you have a world altering event like this, the world itself resets. You can't go back. You may have analogs to those past events, but you can't go back. And that's a big problem for a lot of us because we don't embrace change very well. Human beings, as much as a lot of people like the new and improved, when we reach a comfort zone and things shift and go shitty on us, we want to get back to equilibrium. I'm going to suggest that you embrace the idea that there is no going back. Nobody's going to save you except you. You can only go forward. And if you do that, you're going to wind up turning 2020 into one of the best years that you've ever had. Why? Because you're not looking to repeat the past. You're looking at ways to modify and optimize your future by focusing on the present, right? So again, you still got to clean up your shit. You still got to have a sense of identity that says you deserve to have it, and you still have to take the appropriate actions. But a lot of us are trying to move forward while looking behind us. We can't do that. We have to look at the now. We have to look at what's going on now and say, how can I optimize? Not how can I survive? Not how can I just get through this, right? How can I just bide my time till things go back to normal? That's not going to happen. It's not. If you just accept that that's not going to happen, and that you have to work with what you have now and optimize what you have now, even if some things do go back to the old way, you're still going to be ahead of the game. right? But if you're just biding your time, waiting for things to go back to normal, you're actually losing, right? There's huge amounts of opportunities out there, but you have to be willing to become the person who deserves to have it. And the only way you can do that is by changing you, and then the actions you take as a result of that. So isn't the status quo simply brainwashing we all share? In some cases, yes. It depends on the context, Chris. Status quo is a baseline, but there's a lot of groups out there that are members of the status quo, and there's a lot of groups out there that are disaffected. They're on the negative side of the status quo, and they're seeking to flip the script. They want to become the new status quo and turn the people on the other side of it, into the less than. So, and they're all doing that. They're all doing that. They're all running from the same playbook that's rules for radicals. And if you understand those rules, you can spot these behaviors everywhere. The second piece is zeroing out the emotion that people are trying to generate in you. So anyway, let's see here. Walk the middle path, take the best, leave the rest. David Goldsberry says, interesting. Richie Havens, freedom made it all up right there on the stage. Freedom. Okay, not sure. Feel like a motherless child. David, can you elaborate on, is there a question there? What happened to the live event that I did at the beginning of last April? Laura, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Centrism is just the popular illusions. I don't know what that means. What do you think of semen retention? Oh, I think I asked that. Can you actually transmute sexual energy? Yes, you can actually choose. See here. Let me jump down to the bottom. I'm going to skip some questions so I can kind of be more current, because let's see where this is. Okay, here we go. So let's see here. Happy New Year, Grandmaster David. Happy New Year, Daniel. DTI is deep trance identification is actually the name for DTI. Erod, Happy New Year, Dr. David and everyone. Shinji Liang says it does help a lot, actually. Okay. How do you become more extroverted? Pretend you like people. Find people who have common. Here's the secret about introverts. How many people here would self-identify as an introvert? Just go ahead and type in the chat if you self-identify as an introvert. I'm going to teach you a quick and dirty way to become extroverted. And it doesn't mean drink heavily. Okay. Karan Vasnani says, you are lovely. Love from India. Love back, Karen. Ferdy Murphy. Hello, David. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Ferdy. Yay, more time with David. I've been grateful says, wish your wife the best with her patients. My wife is an amazing practitioner in everything that she does. She actually developed, and again, I won't name her sources, but she developed a seven for each level of COVID. She developed an herbal formula that counteracts it or modifies it. So she has one for prevention. She has one for stage 1, stage 2, all the way up to like the what's the word I'm looking for? Cytokine storm that a lot of time causes people to have the really bad reactions to the virus. And that's actually one of the things that actually saved her business was she pivoted. She's an amazing herbalist. She found out what the formulas were that were natural approaches to COVID. And in addition to her chiropractic and acupuncture, she started selling the whole set, and it really changed her business. Okay, here. Chris Penn says, brilliant. Hi from UK. Hey, Chris. Happy New Year to David's wife too. I'll pass that on. A lot of thanks, Dr. David. You're welcome, my friend. Mastermind Money, RIP MF Doom. Not sure what that means, Mastermind, but okay. Rest in peace, motherfucker. I don't know what doom you're referring to. Daniel asks, do you have any opinions on emanation techniques regarding the exhales involving the lower lung function more effectively? Daniel, I don't understand that question. If you could re-ask the question, maybe I can give you a better answer. Kit James, that was just what I needed to hear when you said keep your heroes in front of you. You're welcome, Kit. And there's actually some very powerful studies in object relations theory that actually supports that same idea. You will perform better in front of pictures of your heroes than you will not. Okay. Agnes Free says, Dr. Don and David both working New Year's Day hardcore. Well, I don't consider this working. I mean, I know I am, but I consider any chance I get to spend time with you to be a very selfish thing, because I enjoy it. But this goes back to people were asking about how to become an extrovert. The fastest way to become an extrovert is to surround yourself with people who are interested in the exact same things you are. Did you ever notice that when you're in a room full of strangers, you don't really want to talk to anybody? But when you know that the people there are interested in the exact same things you are, and they're as passionate about the things you are, the floodgates open. Quick and dirty way to do it, okay? You can also do submodality interventions from NLP and things of that nature, but you actually have to actually model and take on the physical behaviors of extroverted people, okay? Let's see here. Best is yet to come, power of now. Let's see here. Erod, how do you reinvent yourself in this new world we're living in terms of relationships and career? Again, decide who you want to be. You know, first of all, decide who you want to be. Then take an accurate assessment or accurate inventory of what and who you are, the skill sets, traits, qualities, belief systems, and attributes that you have, and look at who you want to be and make a decision as to what is needed to change for that new version to manifest, and then actively set about developing and harnessing and grooming and amplifying those traits, qualities, and characteristics within yourself. Certainly, we have a lot of material to help people do that on the identity side, but at the end of the day, you have to take the actions. You must actually get off of your ass and do things differently. And I'll teach you about a really quick phenomenon that tends to hold people back, especially when they're trying to transition from the person they're comfortable being to something else. It's called the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is this sense of self-consciousness, because I'll use an example like the echo technique. Now, most of you know what the echo technique is, right? If I'm talking to somebody, the most powerful words they can hear are the words that just came out of their mouth. So if I echo their words back to them, they will like me, they will trust me, they will tend to bond with me faster. But as the person doing the echo technique, you know in your heart of hearts that it's not your normal, natural, organic way of communicating with people. And so it's obvious to you that you're doing something weird, that you're doing something different from how you would normally communicate. And there's a part of you that believes and operates under the assumption that if I know I'm doing something weird, that I'm not doing something normal, that the person I'm communicating with will know it too. And so you start to put a little spotlight on yourself, and you flag yourself in your own mind as doing something weird, or that you're going to get caught. And largely in application, it's just not true. It's just not true, especially if you embrace the mindset and the ideologies and the context and perspective that we teach in addition to the echo technique. It makes it impossible to get caught. But the same thing happens when you start to express behaviors or belief systems or modes of expression in general that are different from the normal you that everybody accepts. You generate a spotlight effect in yourself, and other people have pigeonholed you into a certain way of being, and they feel threatened. They feel confused when you start to generate behaviors that don't fit. And so we get into this, what we call an NLP, a frame war, where you have this new identity, this new reality that you're seeking to create, and you have people who have framed you in a certain way that want to keep you the same. And so this is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't take the actions that they've spent all these time building the foundations for, is this spotlight effect. And if they just understood that it's normal that every single human being on the planet who tries to make a change or who endeavors to make a change will experience it, then you realize you're not doing anything wrong, and that you're not going to get flayed, you're not going to get lambasted to the degree that you think you are. Yes, some people will notice a change. Some people will feel threatened by that change. But by and large, those are the people who are not in alignment with the person you want to be. And if that's the case, you need to find a way to remove those people from your life anyway. And that usually is self-correcting. Those people will either accept the new version of yourself, or they'll move on and create a space for somebody who is in harmony with that new version of yourself that you're seeking to create. And it sucks because we don't like to let go of things. We don't like to let go of relationships that we've had for 10, 20, 30 years because the person we are now isn't in harmony with that person I was 10, 20, 30 years ago. There is some discomfort involved. If this were easy, everybody would do it. But they don't, because nobody explained some of the things that kind of hit you in the background, right? Because they don't spend as much time, exploring themselves, right? But personal change, personal transformation is what this channel is about. It's about empowerment, and it's about learning the ins and outs of these things, and hopefully bringing out a few key pieces that make all the difference. And one of the big ones that I see, just like when we talked about seduction and attraction and things of that nature, is calibration, and knowing what are the inner things that'll hold us back, and how do we, are they normal? Does everybody go through these? And what do they mean in my new world paradigm, right? And when you change the meaning of these uncomfortable feelings, you change what you do about them. So reframing is a big piece of developing the person and becoming the person that you want to be. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I think Adam there, he's my favorite rapper. Okay, I don't know who that is, but Grandfire Expert says, I can show this, says the secret orgasm tip book, your secret orgasm tips book was amazing. Do you have any other books I could get? In what context, Grandfire? Who is MF Doom? Is he a rapper? Was that what I was seeing? Alana Wolf says, share the COVID natural herbs that you can buy. Can you buy it online? No. Well, you can order them from my wife and she can have them drop shipped to you. But as far as a company, we get our herbs made, our customized herbal formulas made and shipped to the clinic, or we place the order with the herbal companies and they drop ship them directly to the patient. So for those of you who are interested in the COVID herbs, I don't have the prices or anything in front of me, but if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll talk to my wife and maybe we'll do a video, or maybe I'll just set up a page where you can order the herbs and then she'll have them drop shipped to you. Would that be something you guys would be interested in? Yes or yes? Doom was the rapper who died. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was like, man, am I really out of touch or what? Let's see here. Rebecca says, I'm getting exactly what I want. Movements Life says, okay, waiting for how to be an extrovert. Did that question on what I said make sense to you? Nick Canning says, David, you say everything is bandwidth. Could 5G be weaponized to control our emotions and thoughts through its bandwidth? I would say possibly. Is it probable? I don't know. I don't know enough about the science of vibrational mind control from a technological side to say, but I think targeted EMF weapons or tools of that, I think they could, absolutely. Is it plausible? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No, I don't think it's likely, but I've been wrong on things like that before. So Daniel Stabos, Jean Dinek says, would you please give us how to contact your wife's site to herbal remedies, and does she have classes? She does not have classes. Well, she has one class on food sensitivities and cleansing. For those of you who want, let me get her. If you want, I'll give her the web. Let me find her website. I'll post a link for you guys. Just tell her David sent you, so she knows who to be. It's actionperformancecare.com. Here we go. This is my wife and I's clinical website. And you can also get the phone number. If you guys are interested in the COVID herbs, give her a call, leave a message. And when you leave your message, make sure you leave your contact information. And then the staff will probably reach out to you, or maybe Dr. Dawn will directly. We'll get you the herbs. If I'll tell you what, I got to be honest. Historically, every year since as long as I can remember, I have gotten sick. I've gotten a really bad, usually get a case of the flu or really bad respiratory infections. Right up from November to like January, I usually wind up getting some kind of cold. And this year is the healthiest I've ever been in this time of year. And I think a lot of it is because of the herbal supplementations I've been doing for the last 12 months. I'm a big believer in herbal supplementation, but it's also about knowing what herbs are. The Chinese always embrace this concept of food as medicine, and if that's true, then the inverse is also true. Certain types of herbal medicines can be good foods, and so when you want longevity, when you want to be youthful and healthy as you age, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. There is no one thing that works. It's a synergy, like all the other technologies that we teach you. So you can do all this Qigong, and without the foundation, the material substances for the body to actually rebuild itself, you have a lot of potential you're not tapping. Yes, you'll get some benefit, but if the material substances aren't there, the natural building blocks, then your body can't harness the potential that it's generating. The inverse is also true, is if you're just taking these herbal supplements, but you're not doing any kind of alchemical practices, you're not transforming your negative emotions, you're not getting rid of negativity, embracing a heart-centered or an empowering lifestyle, then the herbs can only help so much. But when you get all these pieces together properly, just like pointing to where you feel it, reaching out and touching it, all of these things that we do, you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. So I'm a big believer in that synergy and understanding, because I spent decades thinking, if I just have this one supplement, everything will be fine. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be a mindset. And then when there's a time period, there's a temporal element that has to be satisfied, that you can shorten it, but you can't eliminate it because you live in a time-based reality right now. But so I went off on a tangent, but let's see here. Ace of Fates, thanks for your wisdom. Stagnant gas is when you deep exhale to reduce carbon in the blood by elevating oxygen. Okay, I still don't understand where you're going with that, Daniel. For those of you who want the clinic's phone number, it's 858-481-1438. So go ahead and give them a call. And I would recommend you get the whole set of herbs, not just one, with an emphasis. If you're going to order more than just the basic set, load up more on the prevention side, on the prevention herbs, because you'll use those more. And again, I don't know what the prices are because I don't pay attention to those things. Agnes Maria says, Dr. Dawn holds so many keys. Get her to teach us sometimes. What do you want to learn? Right? Tell me what you want to learn, and I'll ask her to come on. Right? Lori Titman asks, what does renegade hypnosis refer to? Are you talking about renegade hypnosis in terms of what we do in Planet David? Are you talking about renegade hypnotist, which is what my former mentor, Mark Cunningham, his brand? Ask me a better question, I'll give you a better answer. Liam Fallon says, total tangent, but where can I go to learn your systemic technique? Well, you can learn it from me, or I recommend you go to Kevin Secours, who was my teacher out of Montreal, www.kevinsecours.com. He's got a great YouTube channel, huge amount. He's very prolific, and he's really given me the best of both worlds in terms of my approach to an understanding of Russian martial arts and martial arts in general. He's really probably the best systemic teacher that I've run across. And I think that's important. Let's see here. Daniel says, I'm not sure what I'm at. Sorry, not sure what I'm at. Okay, well, when you know what you're asking, Daniel, ask it and we'll see what we can do about learning it. Christina Hemingway says, transparency. Okay. Susie Cusey says, no vest. Yeah, I went teddy bear mode today. How do you make yourself talk more? Find something worth talking about. Become genuinely curious about people and ask them questions. Echo their responses, ask more questions. Limitless Car says deep trance identification. Can we please get more about the rapport thing, the energy thing? How can we control it? How can we receive energy and not be drained? How can you receive energy and not be drained? They're kind of opposites, aren't they? I did quite a bit, a little exposition on the rapport and the quantity and quality scales. And I think that'll give you a lot of insight into how that works. So go back to an earlier part of the video when we're done, and I think you'll find the answers you're looking for. Maddie Mob says, please talk on dyslexia and how does someone with dyslexia find their purpose and talents? Well, first and foremost, dyslexia can be trained out of you using some of the NLP techniques. I'm actually a little bit dyslexic, believe it or not, which is why I don't spend a lot of time on math. But there's some, if you Google search NLP and dyslexia, you'll probably find some really good NLP style interventions for retraining how you do visual orientation. By the way, dyslexia almost always goes hand in hand with being a bad speller. And a lot of people who are bad spellers do it because they learn to spell phonetically rather than visually. So there's an interplay there. Also, I see a lot of times people who are highly kinesthetic, who are often classified as ADHD, tend to be a little bit more on the dyslexic side. So there's some correlations there, but the training process would be the same. It's a retraining process. Okay. I think you could probably also benefit from some hypnosis, some actual hypnosis suggestions for your neurology to rewire itself. And along those lines, I think if you got a neurofeedback device like the Versus, or a neuroplasticity device like the Halo Sport, you could amplify the neuroplasticity of your brain. And through certain exercises and drills, you would be able to train yourself out of being dyslexic faster. So I hope that helps. Trent Young says, hey, David, how do you know that you are now self-aware or self-awakened, and through which ways can we tap into the self-awareness? Self-awareness is a continuum. It's, everybody is self-aware to some degree. Consciousness expands, or self-awareness expands as consciousness expands. In fact, they're almost synonymous. Somebody who is progressively highly self-aware tends to be more conscious than somebody who isn't. And so the way to begin to do that is through a process of introspection and discernment and distinctions, exploring sensations in your body and asking the body certain questions and being aware of the responses it generates, both in terms of thought process, in terms of feeling process. It evolves as a process of becoming aware of things rather than looking for things. And that's one of the big challenges I see with people who are seeking to become more conscious, is they make a decision about what they want to look for, and then they look for that. And what happens is when you go looking for something, you've created an expectation of what that's supposed to be, what it's supposed to be like. And so you filter out anything that doesn't match that expectation. So one of the ways that we start to become more conscious is to become aware of patterns. And the way we start to discern patterns is by actually directly stopping the looking process and expanding our awareness to what we notice. How did again, patterns arise. We don't look for them. It's very hard to describe. But when you look for things, you tend to miss everything else. Whereas if you expand your field of awareness and just notice what arises, the patterns will start to emerge. So if you look for samenesses first and then sort by differences afterwards, you'll tend to be able to see patterns faster. Okay, so I hope that helps. And Annie Paris says, Liam, I missed what, okay. Annie Paris says, Liam, I get told that too, and I'm way too peppy. Thank you, Limitless. Okay. Myth is dyscalculia. Now, I don't have a problem with the calculations. I just get the numbers backwards. And then my calculations are wrong because my numbers are backwards, not because I misadded. How do I get the virtual background on for yourself? You should go to your Zoom. I do mine through Zoom. YouTube doesn't give us the option for virtual backgrounds. So I log into YouTube through Zoom so I can do my virtual background. Otherwise, you'd see my bare walls behind me and stuff like that, which my walls aren't bad. I mean, it's just not as cool as the bookshelf. So Laura Thompson says, how can I regrow optic neurons and correct septo-optic dysplasia? Laura, I would have to start with some herbal formulas as well as stem cell work. Again, and nothing I say, by the way, should be construed as a medical diagnosis. This is what I might do if I were going to regrow. I were going to try and regenerate optic nerves. First of all, herbal supplementation. B, neuroplastic amplification. So that might be using a Halo Sport device. It might be through oxytocin dumping. It might be through acupuncture, things of that nature, and direct suggestion. And then if you could supplement with some kind of stem cell stimulant. Now, there's two ways to do that. Certain herbal formulas have been shown to actually accelerate and stimulate stem cell production. And then, of course, you could, if you can afford it, get stem cell injections. That if you can find somebody willing to do it, you may have to go outside the country for it. Stem cell injections to help regenerate those nerves. So again, synergistic approach. No one thing is gonna give you everything. But when you bring them together the right way, you can often get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. But you should definitely be consulting physicians and experts in these fields rather than attempting it solo. Okay. Hardware says, I've been told I look like a lesbian. What do lesbians look like? Heckler99, what was your personality like before all the self-improvement? I was a dick. I was an insecure, self-centered, egotistical, socially inept dick. Nathan Meyer says, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was a dick. No. Neil Calmetto, guitar tuition, the Telford guitar teacher, sameness, then difference is a fantastic for teaching music. Yes. Hardware says, I'm not even a female. Oh, interesting. Sotaris Theophanus says, hey, David, any specific tips on how to deeply know you're doing your purpose in life? Yeah. Is your heart singing? If what you're doing isn't lighting you up like a Christmas tree inside and out, you're not where you're supposed to be. Okay. Where do you find the echo technique? You can find it everywhere, all over my YouTube channel. Start with Secrets of Speed Attraction, how to make someone like, love, or trust you in as little as 20 minutes. We do a deep dive on the echo technique, but I teach the echo technique everywhere. It's one of those techniques that you just got to have. If you're going to be a part of Planet David and you want to get what you want in life, you got to understand the echo technique. So you can find that pretty much in every webinar I teach. You can find it in some of our most popular videos. You can find it in our mastermind archives. You can find it everywhere. Liam says, to Dr. David, thank you for all you've taught me. You will be a lifelong teacher and mentor to me. Also, does Identity by Design qualify me for vibrational influence or CPI 2 or both? It marginally qualifies you for vibrational influence. I would still highly recommend you jump into Killer Influence or CPI 1 before jumping into CPI 2. Okay. People have gone successfully from Identity by Design into Vibrational Influence. My recommendation also is do Killer Influence, and you'll really have the hardcore interpersonal rapport and energetic skills or foundations and state control to do the vibrational influence stuff well. We have had people do it from Identity by Design. So my preference is Killer Influence. Dear David, what is the fastest way to deal with depression? Change your posture, change your breathing, go for a walk. That's the fastest way to do it. Laura Thompson says, dysfunction equals dis equals. Yes, I'm aware, Laura. I know what it means. Okay. See, are you using a green screen? I'm using a virtual background, Caroline. Get Smart says Google. No, it's drug of choice, NLP. But you could probably get the same answer with Google choice of drug. Meg Nowicki, how can I access this through Zoom? You can. I didn't send the link out. We're only doing YouTube today. Okay. The influence says taking Killer Influence as well. So Tira says, thanks, David. That sounded easier than I expected. I can easily recall times when my heart was singing and lighting up like a Christmas tree. Remember that when we start talking about things like Golden Path and finding your mission in this life, we're not just talking about a job. One of the ways that we navigate this vibrational reality is through our sense of kinesthetics. And we can start to orient on things based on what on how they light up our heart, they make our heart sing, or how they make us want to run away. By and large, if you're a self-evolving person, you must cultivate and aggregate the things that light you up inside, while at the same time running deeply into the things that make you run away. Because on the other side of those negative feelings, the things that make you run away are the master keys to getting where you are supposed to be in the shortest amount of time. There's so much power on the other side of those things that terrify you. And so we as self-evolving alchemists or self-empowering people to become the best version of ourselves, we need to run as aggressively towards those things that make us run away with the intention of wanting to understand what's beyond that and why things are the way they are, as enthusiastically. And it's not easy. It really isn't. Let's see here. I love the interactions today. All the questions and answers are well balanced. Well, thank you, Excel. The bookshelves are out of proportion. Yes, unfortunately, the interface doesn't have a way of making everything balanced, but it still looks cooler. I'll turn off my background so you can see what it looks like without it. Okay, this is what my room looks like without it. It sucks. I hate it. It makes me crazy. So we can do this one or we can do this one. Which one do you guys prefer? We'll change it up. You like this one better? My hands keep magically disappearing. Ooh. Okay. Let's see here. Advice on approach anxiety. All right. Again, if we're talking about male approach anxiety, again, it's a lack of state control. And it's usually also the fact that you're running really shitty movies in your head. So the fastest way to get over approach anxiety is first to realize that approach anxiety is normal. There's this phenomenon that mammals have. It's called stranger anxiety. It's this anxiousness that occurs when we see someone we don't know and we don't know if they're friend or foe. So one of the first things that has to happen is you have to get your frame right. You have to understand that little hesitancy that you feel when you look at a stranger, everybody gets it. It's not just you, okay? And you need to understand that it doesn't mean you're afraid. It means you're about to do something different. It means you're about to meet somebody new. It doesn't mean you're fearful. How can I say this? It doesn't mean you're less than. It means you're normal. It's also a sign that you're about to meet somebody new, right? So if you embrace this as a signal that you're about to meet somebody new, rather than a barrier that means you can't approach, you're gonna change the meaning you assign to that sensation, and it's going to be easier. Control your posture, control your breathing, run positive movies in your head. Imagine that this person is somebody you've known forever that you haven't seen in a long time and you can't wait to connect with them again. Step into that energy and approach them with that energy. Look for positive eye contact, which is always a positive smile with wrinkles at the corners of the eyes, a smile, and an eyebrow flash, right? The eyebrows have to raise up. And as soon as you see that eyebrow flash, do it back. These are things that will make you a very powerful a person who can approach very confidently, who can stimulate a person to generate feelings of safety with you. These are some quick and dirty things that you can do. Okay. I would recommend you grab Killer Influence or CPI-1 to get the full system. If you can find it on the website or call Stephanie, you can get our Rapid Attraction Secrets course, which is the whole approach to close system for men and women. But that's some of the quick and dirty stuff that you can do for approach anxiety. Let's see here. Okay. Where did you first learn the echo technique? How did you know it was good? Is it from a book, Mirroring People? No, actually, no. I did not learn the echo technique from Mirroring People. Mirroring People is actually a book on mirror neurons. It has nothing to do with echo technique. I first learned what would become the echo technique through a course called, well, I learned it in NLP, obviously, from the concept. I learned it as a tactic and a very powerful one from a very old course by Kenneth Cleveland called Maximum Rapport. And then I took that information and I built on it, and it became what is commonly referred to as our echo technique. So let's see here. Liam says, I'm a special kind of stupid. Have I heard of Spartan? I've heard of the guy's name. Turn Up the Thermostat says, my comment hasn't melted. Have you heard of Spartan life coach Richard Grannon? The name sounds familiar, but I'm going to say no. I don't really know him. Coach Gio, when we visualize and we are yawning, why is that happening? You said in the past that yawning is, yes, yawning is a sign of internal processing. It means that you're clearing up shit. So I'm a big yawner too. So if you start guiding people through altered state processes, meditations, things of that nature, and they start to spontaneously yawn, it means there's some alchemical process going on inside of them that is releasing stuff from their body. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Wait, you terrify me, lol. What does that mean? Allegra. Happy thoughts. I feel lucky to have found you, David. Excited for my continued personal growth. Well, I'm happy you found us too. Happy. Hardware. Hi, David. Can we do a small collective emotional clearing exercise? Pretty please. Or another strong biofeedback centering technique? Thanks. We'll see. We'll see. My bladder's talking to me now, so I may have to jump off and use the restroom real quick. Kurt Smith says, hi, just found about you. What are the first things I should learn? What video should I start with? Well, Kurt, that really depends on what you want to achieve. People find us through a lot of different avenues. Some people are interested in attraction, dating, romance, and seduction. Some people are interested in manifesting and law of attraction. Some people want to clean up their shit and become more spiritually aware. Some people want to tap into their psychic and energetic abilities. People want to be better influencers and communicators. We have many, many different avenues that lead to the same ocean. So the better question would be, for me, what do you want to achieve? What is it you want to do? If you can tell me what it is you want to do, I will tell you what videos to reference. I hope that helps. And I see you're really interested in, you actually paid for that answer to that question. So please tell me what you want to know about or what you want to be able to do, which is a better way of saying it. What do you want to be able to do in this world, right? And then I'll tell you what videos to reference and what courses and things of that nature, okay?
Where can we learn more about remote viewing? Well, you can come to my vibrational influence class, or you can reference some of the courses that are out there on the market. I think Lynn Buchanan has some courses on remote viewing. David Morehouse used to have a course on remote viewing. The American Association of Remote Viewers, I think, still offers trainings. I think there's some other members of the old Stargate projects that are teaching trainings out there. Ed Dames has been teaching remote influencing or remote viewing classes for many years. I've never studied anything that Mr. Dames has put out, but I know he's very prevalent in the remote influencing fields. So depending on your willingness to jump through hoops, study with me. If you just want to get right down to the remote viewing and remote influence stuff, go into for Lynn Buchanan or David Morehouse or some of his peers. That would be the best for me. Where can I find out more about Golden Path? Here, email us and or look at some of the. And by the way, for those of you who are interested in Golden Path, we will never release a Golden Path video. There will never be a Golden Path course as we teach it, because those are all. There's a huge amount of personal information that is shared and processed in those courses, and they are taught privately. In other words, a small group gets together and virtually or in a room for the weekend, and we just go through getting you on track, analyzing your past, analyzing your talents, traits, and abilities, and we show you a direction, and we systematically help you remove the blocks to getting on it and generate and reprogram into you what's necessary to get on that. But we will never release a course on how to do Golden Path. You have to come to the live event for that. But for those of you who want to come to Golden Path, start with the Identity by Design system that we teach. The Identity by Design silo encompasses 80–90% of all the transformational techniques that we teach in Golden Path to help you clear the blocks to yourself. The other part of the rest of the Golden Path is diagnostic. In other words, figuring out what is that path, and then using the Identity by Design techniques to get on it. So if you want to come to Golden Path, and we do plan on doing a couple of Golden Paths this year, I'm just not sure when we'll do it. You need to have Identity by Design first, okay? You need to be very facile with those techniques. Which course or series of courses would you suggest for someone to become as rich as possible in the quickest way if they are new to your stuff and have no skills either? Killer Influence. Killer Influence and Identity by Design, or Self-Mastery Supercharger. But Killer Influence primarily because there is no occupation, there is no endeavor where the ability to maximally influence human beings to do what you want them to do hurts you. So if you want to make money fast or faster, apply the Killer Influence techniques to a job application or a job niche that is potentially lucrative, and you'll make more money faster. Okay. Mateo Fernandez says, sorry, did you talk about pointing me to the direction of semen retention? I did. I recommend most guys get trained in semen retention and actively use it as a way of cultivating their internal energies and harnessing and tapping into those potentials. Most guys don't. Hold on a second. My chat just jumped again. Have you heard of objective personality typing? No, I have not. Screwball says, I'm scared, I'm not scared. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Eric Pepin, not sure what that's about. Allegra says, you terrify me because I grow, and I never liked stepping out of my safe box before you. Well, now I'm comfortably uncomfortable, and it's terrifying in a good way. Adam Morgan, on which day can I find you talking on manifestation in vibrational influence? Probably towards day 3 or 4. That's usually where we start talking about manifestation and image cycling. My comment hasn't melted. I don't know what that means. Oh, turn up the thermostat. My comment hasn't melted. Okay. I unintentionally annoy people by my sense of humor. Do I just stop joking or not speak, or what? No, does that make a difference if you're female? If you unintentionally annoy people with your sense of humor, find a different crowd, someone who shares the same type of humor that you enjoy, or learn better calibration skills and modify your approach to comedy to fit the audience that you're with. A lot of it comes down to how much you value the people you're associating with. If you highly value the people you're associating with, change yourself. If the people that you're associating with make you feel like other, or they aren't in harmony with who the person you want to be, find a new crowd, right? People constantly harp about being yourself. Well, if being yourself is an asshole and that's making you miserable, if you can't find a crowd where that kind of behavior is acceptable, it's about changing you, right? So when people start talking about just be yourself and you'll find, in practicality, it doesn't always work that way. Ideally, it works great. In theory, it works great. In actualization, not so much. Monroe Institute is also a screwball saying those interested in remote viewing can use the gateway technique from Monroe Institute. I'm not very familiar with everything Monroe teaches, but I know they've been around forever. So yeah, I would recommend them if you like them. Awake Eye Project, finally able to attend a live, been consuming a lot of your amazing content, exciting. What do you think is the best way to overcome procrastination? Get angry, get frustrated, get pissed off, and then just fucking do it. Right? Those are the anger, frustration, lust are the three biggest emotional counterparts to overcoming frustration. And just start, right? There are several techniques that we teach here on the YouTube channel. One is called the Echo Magnet or the Procrastination Blaster, and another is the Resistance Removal Protocol. These are two very, very powerful techniques for just blowing procrastination out. But at the end of the day, building up a heavy, heavy charge of frustration or anger towards not doing, against this thing that's in front of your way will kind of steamroll you forward. So that goes back to state control, right? Most procrastination is actually a form of fear. So if you dissolve or neutralize the fear component behind it, you usually find yourself able to move forward much more easily. Procrastination comes in many different flavors. So let's see. Hot Shot says, hi, David, how can I emotionally detach and not obsess over my boyfriend? My feelings distract me too much, and I overthink a lot instead of focusing on myself. Start with spinning, color breathing, magic frame. Those are three techniques that are prevalently taught on our YouTube channel. I call them the transformational triad. Those three should give you a huge head start in getting out of your head and into the world. Okay. Again, I won't teach them here because A, time is limited, and B, they're all over YouTube. If you just type in how to get rid of emotional pain, what's the other one I'm looking for? Instant and rapid pain relief or pain removal, resistance removal protocol, how to get rid of negative emotions. All of those videos, which are free on YouTube, have those techniques embedded in them. So I would start there. If you need more help, give us a call at 858-282-4663, and we'll put you in touch with one of our coaches or one of our therapists to help guide you through stuff. Or you can just buy some of our courses on NLP Power and learn it and do it kind of yourself. I would recommend, though, if you're having trouble, though, that you get some guidance, one-on-one, and then supplement that with coursework or whatever. But if your budget doesn't allow it, we have tons of free content on YouTube where we're going over those three techniques over and over and over again. Okay. Let's see here. Momo Billam says, how do you deal with collective loneliness without being a nihilist? What do you mean by collective loneliness? Hotshot, Momo. I don't know what that means. I'm not familiar with that term. Laura Thompson says, at Allegra C, since Monday, my world has been rocked by growth and I didn't see it coming. You seldom do. Jay Jones Creations, thanks for all the knowledge you give away. The Echo technique has changed my life. Boom. Excellent. Meg Nowicki says, and at any parish, Eric Pepin, yes. Kurt Smith wants about negotiations and suggestions. Kurt, what specifically? Oh, that's what you want to know about? Okay. Start with Killer Influence, then get CPI 2 and CPI 3. Those will be, yeah. So again, learn the echo technique, learn 3 magic questions, learn criteria and values elicitation, then jump into the full Killer Influence training, and then supplement that with CPI 2 and 3, and then get the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. That should give you a huge, huge arsenal of technique and systematic approaches to negotiation and suggestion. Very, very powerful synergy. What is Golden Path? Golden Path is a process of discovering what your mandate from heaven is. In other words, what is your mission in this life, in this body, that allows you to become your best version of yourself and leads you to the most fulfilling life possible for you. Okay. Victor Murphy says property management. Not sure what that's about. Yeah, remember when you're gonna, there's some, again, semen retention is controversial. One of the things that you need to be very careful of when you're doing semen retention, because somebody was mentioning, hold on a second. Jamie was saying men who ejaculate every other day have 80% lower rates of prostate cancer. That's probably true. One of the reasons is because of the contractions of the prostate. One of the things that you must be very, very mindful of when you are doing semen retention is the possibility of what in Chinese medicine we call qi stagnation. And so you have to massage the prostate, just like you would practice Kegels or you would physically massage the perineum area. You've got to make sure that you're flexing those muscles to keep it healthy, okay? So, but as you get older, the Chinese will tell you need to ejaculate less and less. So, but if you again, semen retention, again, some people have loads of jing that they can spare. Some people not so much. So again, don't necessarily jump into these things without the guidance of somebody who's versed in these skill sets, okay? Let's see here. What are calibration skills? Calibration skills are the ability to pay attention to somebody and derive what subtle cues and tonal shifts, body language actually means. Okay. Liam says, at Happy Thoughts, I believe Dr. David should bring back to state control. Jamie Wolf, emotional leverage, right on. Okay. What do you think is your best video on YouTube? Well, 2-8, that really depends on how you're judging it. You know, what do you want me to base the criteria on? How many views it's gotten, how much I enjoyed doing the video, what were people's comments like on the video? You got to give me some criteria, because if you go by just numbers, our lie detection video is our most viewed video. Right next to that is attraction, right? But there's other great content out there that doesn't have as broad an appeal. That's just absolutely phenomenal. ABCD asks, how can I learn about seduction or enlightenment? Well, you can start by watching our videos on the channel. We have a broad range of stuff like that. I think it's important when we're talking about seduction. First of all, I got to tell you, I use that word for marketing purposes, but I don't like the word. I much prefer attraction or dating. Even pickup to a certain degree I think is a little bit better than seduction, although not much. And I'll tell you why that is because if you look at the commonly accepted definition of seduction, seduction means to entice somebody into doing something that is not in their best interests. And I simply don't believe that that's the case for us. We need to move through the world giving people the most amazing, wonderful experiences as possible. So the idea of enticing somebody to do something that's not in their best interest or not not acceptable to them or leaves them better off is the antithesis of what I seek to do and what I seek to teach my students. And I don't care if you're a male looking to seduce females, female looking to seduce males, females looking to seduce females, whatever. I would much rather have you engage in the process of attraction or attractivity than seduction. But seduction's a great word that gets attention, creates a very visceral response in people. So for marketing purposes, we use it, right? And certainly all of these skills translate into all forms of social or interpersonal influence, which I've found the dating or mating archetype to be the primary archetype for all social interactions. And if the technology that you're bringing to bear works in those contexts, it translates very, very easily to prospects and clients, jury selection, getting out of parking tickets, ordering, getting free food at restaurants, any type of social interaction. You can graft these techniques or transplant these attraction techniques into the interaction and get a huge, huge social boost in your power. In fact, in February, we're doing a 4-day class called Attraction Mastery, which is all about the psychology of attraction and advanced social dynamics. And we're going to go deep dive into all of this stuff. That's a by invitation only class. So if you are interested in it, there is a vetting process that we put people through. So if you're interested in that class, you call Stephanie at 858-282-4663. That will be a live class that we're teaching in Las Vegas. So if you want an excuse to come hang out with me in Las Vegas for 4 days and learn some really cool shit, come on out. There is no sales letter for that class yet. We're only promoting it in-house inside of our live events to people who've attended our other classes or have our other programs. So and this is the first time I've mentioned it. So if you are interested in those things, by all means, jump into it or call us. Let's see here. Enlightenment, same idea. What does enlightenment mean? Enlightenment means you ask 27 people what enlightenment means, you get 27 different definitions. I don't know what you mean by enlightenment, so it's hard for me to kind of give you an answer to that. I would suggest that you become progressively more self-aware, and then the enlightenment part will kind of take care of itself. And Keep Gupta says, what are some of the best self-hypnosis techniques to master a new skill? Identity by design, deep trance identification, without a doubt. Meg Nowicki says, I find it extremely hard to be myself around anyone at all. Only when I'm alone or with my daughter do I feel 100% relaxed and non-restricted. I don't like being this way at all. Okay. I would start with the identity by design techniques, and I would start by focusing on a drug of choice for the feelings you have when you're around your daughter, and translating how your body does that to crowds and people you want to associate with. But the identity by design style will help you to neutralize and dissolve the things that make you feel like you need to be somebody else around other people. Okay, so again, identity by design, self-mastery, supercharger, those are the techniques that long-term are going to give you the biggest transformation. The surgical, tactical nuke it from orbits, the only way to be a sure approach is going to be a combination of color breathing, magic frame, and energy spinning. So use those three and start making the changes. And then come call us when you're ready to go further. Brooklyn Master says, just signing in, you're the best. What state control drills can we do? None. If you have access to our mastermind videos, if you have access to some of our products, all the videos you need are there. I would recommend you reference those. Ayers family says, what is your personal formula for happiness? I don't know if I have one. I would say focus on the things you want, not the things you don't. And become the person who can have the things you want, right? I think it's important to have a lot of gratitude towards as many different aspects of your life as possible. But in terms of my personal formula for happiness, I think, in short, to lapse into jargon, I think the formula for happiness is living a life that is in harmony with your own set of values and ideals, and actively moving towards those things. Being on your golden path is probably the shortest distance between where you are and where you want to be, and be happy. But if I had to shortcut it, I would say criteria and values. So for those of you who want to know about that, pardon me while I scratch my itchy nose. For those of you who want to know more about that, go back to our webinar videos where I talk about the emotional bonding checklist. And especially the last couple webinars that we did an in-group exercise where people elicited the emotional bonding checklist they had for the things they wanted to learn from the videos. And I had them go through an exercise. Take that particular process and apply it to every context of your life and elicit that checklist. And then actively evaluate those elements of your life to see how close they match. And then start changing those things in your life until they're in complete harmony with the checklists that you've created, and follow your body feelings. That's the shortcut. The more comprehensive approach is going to be Golden Path training, which is going to be a combination of diagnosing your life from the time you were born up to now, combined with identity by design protocols, which are designed to help you remove the barriers and amplify the things that put you on your path faster. So I hope that's the long and short of it. Okay. Living a life that's in harmony with your values is the key to happiness, and making sure that you're only doing the things and that people in your life are only in harmony with those values. That's going to be the fastest way to do that. Right. One of the things I do is I pay very close attention to the things that make my heart sing, that light me up like a Christmas tree. And I find ways to monetize it so that I get paid for doing the things I love. And there's a formula that I use for that, which we talk about in Money Magnet Mastery, as well as Hidden Laws of Attraction. So we just ran a big sale on Hidden Laws of Attraction on the website. If you're interested in that, you can go. You might be able to still get the New Year's discount if you're interested in that whole spectrum of things. So I hope that helps. Am I familiar with psycho-cybernetics? Yes, I am. Nathan Mayer says, I'm curious about your view on psychedelics. I don't play with them. I have a lot of students who have come to me from the psychedelic fields who actually guide people through psychedelic experiences, and they have a lot of interesting stories to tell. I personally don't work with psychedelics. And I highly recommend that if you're going to work with psychedelics, you work with somebody who is competent and qualified to do that work. Let's see here. 31 flavors of procrastination. Irfan M says, David, thank you for the value for information. It's gold. Bernardini says, David, I have scoliosis. Is there any way to treat it with you online? There may be some things that we can do. I would probably go on a limb and say that working with me is not going to be the only piece to the equation. You're probably going to want somebody qualified to do some form of body work, chiropractic or otherwise, and work with maybe an osteopath or something. But there's probably some things that we can definitely do to help. The only thing I can't predict is to what degree that we could do that. Irfan says, I light up when I help others become better, but I have constant internal conflict about making money off helping others. Okay, so there's some belief systems that you need to change, right? You obviously have a belief that helping others for money is bad. And yet, if you went to the doctor or your naturopath or your herbalist, you would pay them money to make you better, wouldn't you? Right? The secret to this is you got to understand that part of the healing process for many people is the exchange of energy, or the exchange of value. And many times, if you do not ask for that exchange of value, you actually inhibit the healing process. Now, a lot of people who are on the lower side of the less evolved side of universal dynamics take issue with that. And that's why they're broke many times. I don't make the rules to the universe. I just report them, for lack of a better word. But one of the things that has to happen in many cases is that people have to earn their healing. They have to earn the right to be the person they want to be. And that usually involves some form of discomfort, of sacrifice. And the most easy medium for that transformation or that exchange of value or energy is money. It doesn't have to be. But if you want to be in this world, you have to have energy, you have to have power. Money is a form of power. The more power you have, the more people you can help, the more choices you have. So one of the things that has to happen for you is you need to start exploring your beliefs about money and helping people for money. I'm not saying you shouldn't help people for free. There has to be a balance. And if the lifestyle you're leading isn't giving you the quality of life that you want, you need to be willing to change it, because it's not going to change for you. Okay, you have to take charge. You have to be self-directed. And that means many times, and trust me, I've been there. A lot of healers out there are fucking broke because they don't understand this concept, this universal principle, right? People who have lots of money, who do well by doing good, can afford to help more people for free. And the people that they do help for the money tend to get better in proportion to the amount that they invest. I don't make up these rules. It's just how it works. For those of you who are in the internet marketing space, you see this, and again, I'm going to use an internet marketing analogy because unfortunately it's appropriate. You have more pain in the ass customers, more people who don't get the value of your product at $49 than you do at people who pay for the same product at $1,500. It's the same. We tested this by accident. We actually had a pricing issue, or we actually had a pricing mistake on our website, and people got a $1,500 course for $75. And the amount of change that was reported versus the amount of customer service issues that were reported for the same product were astronomically different. And I used to hear this, and marketing people were talking about this all the time. And I'm like, fuck you, bullshit. You're just trying to convince me to sell some or to buy your shit. And then it happened by accident, and we saw it. The switch fucking flipped, and I realized that by giving it away for free, you're not helping the people to grow. You're actually helping them stay stuck. So find the balance. And just remember that balance is not static. Balance is dynamic. When you start doing this, you'll charge too little. Then you'll charge too much. And then from those two extremes, you'll find your comfort zone. And as you become better, you'll find also that the more you charge for your service, the better the quality of service that you render. It forces you to raise the bar on the service you deliver, because you want to be worthy and deserving of that, right? So there's no downside to charging people, because by and large, the people who are going to accept your stuff for free probably won't hold on to the change anyway. I hate to be the bearer of not so great news. I've been there. Guys, you got to remember something. Some of you know this, some of you didn't. I taught hypnosis and NLP for free for 10 years before I ever took a dime to teach a person. Okay. And I had a lot of reasons for it. One of which I don't talk about too often, was this: well, do I deserve to have the money? Am I good enough to get the change? What if people can't afford me? There will always be a group of people who say it's too expensive. And what they're saying, by and large, when they say it's too expensive, the subtext is, believe it or not, they're not saying you're not worth it. They're saying, I'm not worth it. They're saying, I don't deserve to have that because I'm not willing to go through the discomfort it takes to become the person who deserves to have that change. All right. Now, for every generalization I give you, there's going to be exceptions. And that's where the concept of the process of discernment comes from. You have to evaluate each person on a case-by-case basis and decide. And if you do that long enough, you're going to notice patterns of people starting to emerge. You'll see the characteristics of people who are going to take what's offered for free and still not change. You're going to see the tiny percentage of people who take the change that you offer for free and build on it. And as a process of building on it, become the person who deserves to have it. You're going to see the people who you charge people for, they pay you and they get change. And then they find something else or they go back. Then you're going to see people who not only pay you more for the change, they take that and they build on it and they become amazing. and actually go on to spread what they've learned from you into the world in their way. There are different categories of people. You can't paint everybody with the same brush, but as a general guideline, you're never going to go wrong charging for what you deliver. Okay? You're never going to go wrong. Okay? Just don't suck, right? Be good at what you do. Right? Okay. Any tip to stop, practical tip to stop marijuana consumption? Find a good hypnotist or neurolinguistic programmer and work personally with them. Hold on a second. Got to check my phone here. Okay. We're coming into the home stretch anyway, so I'm going to give, my wife's asking me when my AMA is going to be done. Is there a different word for therapist? Coach, counselor, mentor, teacher, trainer? What are some signs when you and your wife don't love each other anymore? I would be very, very careful. I would look at, well, first of all, you're going to see a lack of physical closeness. Now, that's not just sex. Of course, sex is usually a big deal, but also a lack of intimacy in terms of interaction. You're probably going to see a lot of passive aggressive behaviors. You're going to see a lot of distance, more time away from home. Changes in work habits or recreational activities can often can be indicators of those things. They look at you and say, I fucking hate you. It's usually a pretty good indicator. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. Some people, I would look at their pupil dilation. One of the things I often see when people who are emotionally distancing themselves from one another is when the pupils are, when you're looking at somebody you love or you deeply care about, the pupils tend to dilate. When you're creating emotional distance from people, the pupils tend to contract. And so watch people's pupils. If you habitually pay attention, you'll notice that there's a baseline level of pupil dilation when they like you and when they don't. And so these are things that I would pay attention to. I don't think there is a single, other than them handing you divorce papers, I don't think there is a single characteristic that indicates they don't love you. Right? It's a combination of things. So. Let's see here. Bernardini is asking, David, which is the best way to attract new relations and friends into your life? The best way to do it is to become the person you really want to be, who has a life that they love, and the people that resonate with that will follow, right? In my course in Attraction Mastery, we talk about the romantic hero archetype. And one of the things that you'll see in terms of attracting the right kind of people in your life. And I say this in the context of a lot of women I won't even make genders, but there's this concept of building your life around a person, right? And that's not what a healthy relationship is. I often say that women don't want to be the center of your life. They want to be part of a person's life who actually has a life that's worth living. And so the antidote for that, the prescription for that, is to make your life that you live solo as exciting and thrilling and fulfilling for you as humanly possible, without the need of having anybody. Like if you had nobody in your life, but you had all these wonderful, amazing, fun activities that just light you up, being on that golden path again, that you love doing, and you're actively doing it, you will magnetize yourself towards people who have those same affiliations, those same desires and needs and what have you. And your life will suddenly become very, very filled because you'll become attractive. And that's where you have to start. You have to, honestly, I love my family. I love my wife, but if they disappeared tomorrow, if I'd never had them, I would still be thrilled and happy and in love with my life, because I've endeavored to make that life as thrilling and satisfying and fulfilling for me as an individual. If you are looking, if in order for you to be happy, you have to have a person in your life, that's a weakness. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have people in your life, but you can't put responsibility for creating an optimal life on somebody else. That has to be the secondary thing. As you build a life that's worth living, you'll attract the people that want that kind of a lifestyle for themselves as well, or to be affiliated with people who have that life. Okay. So that's going to be the simplest approach. Now, how you get there? Well, each person's got to do that in their own way. Let me just do something real quick, if it's okay with you. I just want to text her. Okay. I'm going to have to jump off soon, but I just wanted to spend as much time with you as I could. Stephen Wright, which NLP books do you recommend? I have Transformations, Patterns 1, Persuasion Engineering, Magic in Action, Frogs and the Princes. What do you think of these? I think they're great. I'll tell you, my favorite NLP books were by John O'Connor. So anything by John O'Connor, I really liked. They're older books. I think it was This is NLP, NLP for Business, things of that nature. I like, and again, Timeline Therapy and the Basis of Personality, to me, was one of the most powerful and useful books on NLP derived stuff that I'd ever come across. So I highly recommend that book as well. So let's see here. How do we become as good at speaking as you are, or were you born that way? I think I was born with a potential that I actualized through life experience and life activities, choices I made into what I wanted to do with it. I think the fastest way to get good at speaking, A, is find things that you love and talk about them. And B, talk about them to people who love those things. And I think what you'll discover is that the floodgates will open, and then slowly branch out into parallel niches and things that are, you know, in addition to this, they may also like this. So like, for example, when I started, I started as a teacher in the sexuality and NLP niches. And I started, my NLP teaching was offline. My romance and sexuality was online. And so I bridged this gap. So I had these people who are into attraction and seduction, but people who are interested in attraction and seduction are also tend to be interested in energy. They also tend to be interested in body language. They also tend to, and people who are interested in body language also tend to be interested in learning how to catch liars. People who are into attraction, dating, and seduction also usually have a lot of baggage. People who are into energy also tend to have a lot of baggage. They also are interested in the woo stuff like psychic powers, abilities, and manifestation. So if you look at these ends of the spectrum, they're all separate but related and connected to each other in some way. And so when I speak about things I love. I speak about things I'm passionate about to an audience that is passionate about those things as well. And then I build on that. And if you do that long enough, and then you put yourself in situations where you have to speak, where you have to actually deliver, after a certain amount of time, it's not weird anymore. There are other mind techniques and perspective shifts that you can take, but if you love your audience like they're your best friend, if you talk to them like they're your family, like the people you love, you're going to find that that level of comfort and familiarity that you bring to it creates an ability to just flow. One of the problems that fledgling speakers have is actually a sense of self-consciousness. It's actually a form of inverted narcissism. They're so afraid of what other people are going to think of them that they stop focusing on giving the people in the audience the best experience humanly possible. And so one of the things that my good friend Chris Stamba, who was one of my students and then he became one of my colleagues, says, love your audience. Love your audience like you're the dearest members of your family, and speak to them as from that place. And you're going to discover that the connection that you generate with those people, the fluidity with which you you express yourself and connect ideas, will be very organic, be very spontaneous. Now, can you modify that through craft and technique? Absolutely. But if you don't have that body feeling, that perspective of these are people who you love, who you are like the host of a party, you want them to have the best experience humanly possible. You stop being self-centered and more focused on making sure the people that you're translating and you're communicating with have that experience. And then it starts to flow back and forth. The energy goes and it builds, and a deeper rapport and a deeper energetic builds as well. Whereas if you come at it from a technical perspective, you may deliver a technically perfect presentation that does not connect at all, right? So go for the connections first, which starts with the body feelings and the way you perceive the audience, and then add your craft to it, okay? And do it a lot, like every chance you get, do it. Just volunteer and just get up there and do it. Can you tell me what Tai Chi does for the mind, body, and spirit? Yes, it integrates them synergistically. Long and short, that's what it does. Liam says, hold on a second, let me move over here so I'm actually looking at the camera. David, thanks for your time again today. As always, I learned something new and I can't wait to do it again. Hope to see you live in a class this year. I would like to, for those of you who, I wasn't going to do this, but I'll talk about it now. You've heard me mention a lot on today's class, the identity by design systems, the identity by design techniques. January 27th through January 31st, we are doing a 5-day hypnosis and hypnotherapy certification, focusing on the identity by design techniques in addition to conversational hypnosis, state control, instant and rapid abductions, the full spectrum of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So for those of you who want to get on that golden path to your best self, for those of you who want to make 2021 your best year ever, for those of you who really want to make a difference in the lives of others as well as yourself, I'd like to personally invite you to come out with me for 5 days in Las Vegas, Nevada, January 27th through the 31st, and go through the 5-day live real-world hypnosis and hypnotherapy certification process. Just by a show of hands, how many of you would be interested in something like that? Just go ahead and type it in the chat if you're interested, because if you're not interested, I won't bother posting a link. Chouette Habo says, I would love to know where you studied. I studied all over the world, Chabot, or Chouette. I'm still studying. Erod says, Ace of Fate says, I don't have a solid identity. I feel confused on which skills to keep and use from my past and what to do with what is left over in front of me to move forward. Start with identity by design. Gray room, universal solvent, magic frame, spinning, and color breathing. Erod, thank you, Dr. David, for your time and energy you've shared here with all of us. You're very welcome, Erod. It's my pleasure, guys. For those of you who need payment plans, if you reach out to Stephanie, she could set up a payment plan for you. Hand raised. What is Qigong? Qigong means energy discipline or energy cultivation. So here's the www.realworldhypnosis.com/2021 RWH001. For those of you who are interested, there's our sales letter. For those of you who need payment plans, you can call Stephanie at 858-282-4663. She's kind of spending the day with her family, but leave a message and your contact information. She'll get back to you. Sam McDonald says, David, I have found that your programs provide a framework for exploring other mystical methods for self-change. You provide the nuts and bolts, practical exercises, which becomes the erector set. Thank you, Sam. That is exactly my goal. Because once you peel back the surface, the structure of all of these other metaphysical systems are largely similar. And once you have it, you can explore it. Alana Wolf says, is it more than $1,000? We have an early bird price that we offer sometimes for $997. If you call Stephanie and you say you heard about it on the AMA, she'll reach out to me. And if we have some space left, because we're running out of space, we'll see about honoring the $1,000 price point. But right now it's at $1,497. So if you need to make a payment plan, we can do that for you. Beth at Soulfire says, thank you for your time. Happy New Year. Happy sobbing on training in like a hotel. Yes, it'll be at the Orleans Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas off Tropicana. Would be interested when we were able to leave the UK. I would be too, Witchy. Thank you. Prices, Alana says. They're on the website. I was able to overcome being in love with my ex by watching David's videos on self-control. Awesome. And on that note, my friends, I think it's time for us to get a move on. I want to thank you all. I hope each and every one of you have an amazing, happy, joyful, prosperous new year. I'd love to see you all at Identity by Design. We're capping it at 50 people. Last I heard, we were at like 20 or 25 right now. And these will give you the skill sets that you need. You've heard me talk about them a lot. It wasn't my intention to promote a training. But for those of you, I hope you got value. I enjoyed spending this time with you. And I love you all. And we'll talk to you soon. Good night and God bless. Take care.